Zach Brewster for us in Iowa, well-dressed for the occasion. I want to bring in Danielle Moodie Mills, host of the DNR Studios podcast, WokeAF Daily, and co-host of the podcast Democracy-ish. Danielle, talk to me about, first of all, let's just dispense with the Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren moment there. I'm starting to feel like it's just not that much of a thing, and they don't really want it to be that much of a thing.
I don't think that it is that much of a thing. I think they had a private conversation, and I find it hard to believe that Bernie Sanders would actually say that he doesn't believe that a woman would be president of the United States. I think that he probably maybe was talking about the fact that America has issues with women, right?
Which is a conversation we have all had. We've had conversations about whether Americans can or are willing to elect a woman, whether Americans can or are willing to elect an African American. We saw that to be true, but I think that's a conversation people have. So I'm trying to figure out what this is about.
Right. So I don't think that it was a woman could never be president of the United States. I think it was probably a conversation that was taken maybe a little bit out of context. But Bernie Sanders is a progressive, right? And so I doubt that he would say a woman could never be president of the United States. So I think that essentially this is a nothing burger and they want to move on from it. But I loved Elizabeth Warren's response to the electability question, because I think that she put a nail in the coffin of that question that's been floating around since 2016. Hillary Clinton won 3 million more votes than Donald Trump did. So the conversation that we continue to have around whether a woman could be president, whether a person of color can be president, is nonsense, and it's based in nonsense, because we know exactly what she said. All of the men on stage all lost elections, but somehow they're able to continue failing up. But the women that were on the stage have never lost ever. So that to me looks like somebody pretty electable.
Pete Buttigieg is trying to have a Barack Obama moment in Iowa, right? Where he's up there, not always in the front place, but he wants to have this moment where people see him win, and then other people vote for him as a result. He continues to have a struggle with African American support. This is what he said about it last night.
The black voters who know me best are supporting me. It's why I have the most support in South Bend. It's why among elected black officials in my community who have gotten into this race, by far most of them are supporting me. The reason I have the support I do is not because any voter thinks that I'm perfect. It's because of the work that we have done facing some of the toughest issues that communities can.
What do you think?
I think it was a missed opportunity. I think that Pete Buttigieg could have said, these are the things that I believe I could do as president of the United States for African-American community. He didn't do that. What he gave to me was pretty much a verbal shrug, right? Like, oh yes, well, the black people that do know me, they like me, and so I'm good there. He could have laid out what his plans are and why the community is so instrumental for the Democratic Party, and he didn't do that. I think that it was a miss.
Is Joe Biden's support amongst African Americans so strong that none of these candidates have inroads to make? I mean, half of African Americans don't support Joe Biden, but almost half do.
I think that here's the thing with African Americans and voters. One, we're not a monolith. We have plenty of people that we're looking at across the field, but unfortunately, we also have to look at where the white mainstream is going to go. Because for us, pragmatically, Donald Trump cannot get a second term in the White House. He cannot. It will destroy our democracy, it will destroy our community, healthcare, all of these different facets that are incredibly instrumental to the African American community. Do I think that other people can make inroads? Absolutely. We've seen Iowa be a wild card before. And so it's not leveled in stone that Biden is going to be the nominee, but I don't think that Buttigieg is going to have an Obama moment, because he's not Obama.
Danielle, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining me. Danielle Moodie Mills is the host of DNR Studios' WokeAF Daily Podcast and the co-host of Democracy-ish. All right.